Hey guys, I'm Jerica, and today I'm going to be talking to you about opioid addiction and the correlation with children in DCF custody. The purpose is to demonstrate the cost-benefit analysis of rehabilitation versus incarceration, as well as the negative and long-term effects that living with an opioid-addicted parent has on children. Our agenda will be what is addiction, the effects that opioid has on the brain for addicts and for their minor children, some statistics that I found really alarming, the difference between secure and insecure attachments, the role DCF in the foster care system has, and our legal system versus rehabilitation. Addiction, also known as substance abuse, are when opioids are misused that causes neurotransmitters to be blocked, and they're designed usually to give a sense of pain relief. Your body naturally distributes neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. They're naturally found hormones in your body, and when you start using an artificial substance such as heroin, your body stops producing them at the rate at which your body actually needs. Because of that, there's negative effects on your brain. Some of the effects that your brain as an addict will notice is that the brain will decrease in how much dopamine, serotonin, other neurotransmitters that are released. Then the ones that are autonomously sourced, such as dopamine and serotonin, will stop producing at the levels that they had, which is what I just said. But the point is, your body needs to send a certain amount of hormones out when you're hurt. Your body just naturally does that. Your body gets a natural sense of euphoria when you're like overly excited or super happy. You need those for your body to function, to develop, to make connections, to respond to stimuli, to respond to internal and external stimuli. Without those, you're unable to make developmental goals and meet milestones and be a successful person in society. So once you start using, you kind of stop your body from producing that, and thus you subsequently need and no longer want. And that's where the term addiction versus disease starts to interject. Subsequently, on the children of those people who are in the midst of that addiction, the children who are being raised by them start to feel the side effects of their now need. They're starting to feel the maltreatment, the neglect on them, which causes their brain to actually reduce in size physically. This is a picture of a 3-year-old who should have a brain that's formed like so, which their brain is actually getting smaller because they're not able to absorb the information that they need. Their brain is no longer able or in a space so that it feels safe enough to absorb information, to learn new cognitive development, to learn more physical development. They're not in a space where they can absorb enough information, which is super hard to see when they didn't have a choice, right? Long-term statistics that I found were like pretty significant when I was doing this information. One of them was that treatment, not incarceration, that this amount of people will go back to prison within 3 years. That's a very short amount of time, right? 73% did not complete rehabilitation. They just went to prison, no treatment. That's a lot of people that went to jail that didn't get any help. So it seems kind of like counterproductive. 8.3 million children under 18 years of age lived with at least one substance dependent or substance abusing parent. That is a lot of kids. That is a lot of children who underwent some form of abuse or neglect that didn't need to be privy to that, who could have had parents who obtained help through rehabilitation instead of incarceration where they weren't receiving any treatment. Prenatal substance abuse is a factor in approximately 50 to 79% of child welfare cases in which young children are removed from custody. That is a very large number of children who are removed from their parents because of opioid addiction, which puts a huge stress on our systems overall, both family services, court systems, legal aids. I mean, you name it, that's putting a lot of stress on hospitals, other areas. That's a lot of damage that we could help as a society build better laws that make rehabilitation a mandatory part of sentencing. Secure versus insecure attachments was a pretty big thing when we looked at children's longevity and their trajectory of their life when living amongst opioid addicted parents. When I start to begin kind of diving into this, it was very hard to hear or watch testimonies of children who grew up in homes of addicted families. Their possibilities to become an addict, to be sexually abused, to have maltreatment or experience neglect, abuse, etc., is 4 times more likely than that of a child whose parent is not an addict. The secure attachments that is a fundamental part of a child needing to be successful and learning how to form positive relationships with people is a critical part to their well-being. It's a critical part to people in general. We need relationships. That's just how people success. Without that, we have insecure attachments, which causes greater problems overall. DCF and foster care is a pretty big part of children who enter into any kind of agency when their parents are put into prisons or rehabilitation centers, as well as the legal system. I think we have a duty here to mandate that parents who are negatively affecting their children's well-being and are an addict need to have inpatient rehabilitation as a mandatory sentencing, not nearly as much as they need incarceration. Thanks.